I had to change the locations because I lost battery life. We're on to factoring trinomials. This one's actually kind of easy. You're going to always want to look for a GCF. That's always going to be our first step. If there is a GCF in these, the GCF is usually the coefficient of the first term. So if there's a term out in front of x squared, that's going to be your greatest common factor. These are your sign rules. So if there's a plus plus in your parentheses, you're going to want a plus plus. Plus minus is a plus minus or minus plus. It doesn't matter the order. Minus minus is a plus minus or again minus plus. And a minus plus is a minus minus. Basically, if there's a minus between bx and c, so if there's a minus between the last two terms, you're going to have a plus in one parenthesis and a minus in the other. And if there's a plus between bx and c, or between the last two terms, the signs are going to be the same. If the first sign is positive, it's going to be two pluses. If the first sign is a negative, it's going to be two minuses. If you don't want to memorize all of this. If you memorize your sign rules here, your multiple choice questions are so much easier. Anyway, on the first two, we don't have a number out in front of x. So these are your easier problems. So basically what you want to do here, you're going to set up two sets of parentheses. There is no greatest common factor. If there's no number out in front, you don't have a GCF. You don't even have to bother looking. Inside of your parentheses, you want to fill out your signs. So if I have a plus and a minus, if you look here, a plus and a minus gives you a plus and a minus, or a minus and a plus. Let's do minus plus, because in the last video for difference of squares, we did plus minus. And again, it doesn't matter. X squared is broken up to x and x. So you could just quickly fill this out once you know your signs. You take your last term, which is 8, and you find your factors of it. So you have 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. And you want these factors to give you the middle term. The middle term is positive 2. Okay? Now, you're using your signs from inside of your parentheses. If one of them is positive and the other one is negative, your factors of 8, or your factors of this last term, in this case it's 8, must subtract to give you positive 2. Okay? If the signs are the same, they're going to add to give you that number in the middle. Okay? So, since it's a positive 2, if this number is positive, the bigger number must be positive. Okay? If this number was negative, and it was a plus and minus in your parentheses, then the bigger number would have to be negative. Okay? So with that being said, 8 should be positive, 1 should be negative, or it could be the 4 that's positive and the 2 that's negative. So you're looking here, which of the factors subtract to give you 2? Obviously, the 4 and the 2 do. 4 minus 2 will give you 2. So the 2 goes with the minus sign, so I'm going to put a 2 here. 4 goes with the plus sign because it's positive. So if you're looking at this, negative 4, or negative 2 times positive 4 is negative 8, and negative 2 plus 4 gives you positive 2. Okay? Let's do another one. Again, no GCF because there's no number out in front. Inside your parentheses, a plus plus is a plus plus, because if the sign in between my last two numbers is positive, they're going to be the same sign on the inside. Since this number is positive, they're both positive on the inside. And again, x squared is broken up to x and x. Now you're looking for the factors of 16. When they're the same sign, they're going to be adding to give you this middle number. So the middle number is 8. So it's either 1 plus 16, 2 plus 8, or 4 plus 4. That gives you 8. It's obviously going to be your 4 plus 4 equals 8, and 4 times 4 is 16. So since they're both positive, it doesn't matter where you're putting them. Positive 4 times positive 4 is 16. Positive 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay. Something unique about this problem, you notice that they're exactly the same. So for your answer, you only have to write it once to the second power. Okay?
Where's your forehead?
These next few are going to have a greatest common factor. Okay? If there is a number out in front of x, the first term, that's going to be your GCF. So
Where's your shirt?
your GCF here is 7.
Where's your boobies?
Notice that they all have x's, so you're also going to take out an
Where's
x.
your armpits?
So 7x here,
Where?
7x
Your
here,
belly button.
7x here. So 7 divided by 7, they cancel out. x3 divided by x is x2, minus 70 divided by 7 is 10. x2 divided by x is x, plus 63 divided by 7 is 9. X's cancel. Okay. Now, you're going to need to factor this. So don't even pay attention to 7x. Actually, just write it down and forget about it. You're not even looking at it. Okay, all we're doing is considering this x squared minus 10x plus 9. So minus and a plus. Again, if there's a positive sign here, the signs are the same. Since this is a minus, they're both negative. So I'm looking at the factors of 9. That are going to give me this negative 10. Since they're both negative, so are these. Oh, x squared is x and x. So you're looking for the factors that'll give you negative 10. So it's either negative 1, negative 9, or negative 3, negative 3. It's obviously going to be this negative 1, negative 9. So the 1 and the 9 both go by the minus signs. Negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. Negative 1 minus 9 is negative 10. Bring that guy down. So if you were to FOIL this and distribute, you should get that back. Similar, we're doing the same thing. Anytime the leading coefficient is negative, your GCF is negative. 6 is a GCF. They all have an x, so you're going to take a negative 6x. Negative 6x.
Where's the picture of Sissy?
They cancel out. x3 divided by x is x2. Negative negative is a positive. 42 6 is 7. x2 divided by x is x. Positive divided by negative is a negative. 48 divided by 6 is 8. And your x's go away. Alright. So again, this negative 6x just kind of comes down. You forget about them after you set up your answer. X squared is x and x. And your sign rules with a plus and a minus. If this is a minus in between the last two terms, then your signs are plus and minus. Okay. So you're looking at your factors of 8.
Where's your egg? Which hand is your egg in?
That'll give you 7. Again, if this number, if it's plus and minus and this number is positive, the bigger number has to be positive. So either 8 minus 1 will give me 7, or 4 minus 2 will give me 7. And obviously 8 minus 1 will. The 8 is positive, so it should go with the plus. 1 is negative, so it should go with the minus. And this is your answer right here. Okay. Next, it gets a little bit more challenging with decimals. Same thing. Your GCF is the coefficient out in front, which is 0.4. They don't all have an x, so that's your GCF.
Open them. Which hand is your toy in?
They cancel. You're left with x squared. Negative. 3.2 divided by 0.4 is 8. Plus 4.8 divided by 4 is 12. Okay. And again, if you have a GCF, you mindlessly copy down your greatest common factor and set up your answer. Plus in between the last two terms, my signs are going to be the same. It's a minus here, so they're both minus. So your factors of 12. You're using these signs to give us -8. So since they're both negative, -1 minus 12, -2 minus 6, or -3 minus 4 to give us -8, and that's -2 minus 6. So -2 minus 6, and there's your answer. Oops, it's hard to do this with one hand. There we go. Over here is the final one. The leading coefficient is negative. Your GCF needs to be negative. So it's -0.7 as your GCF. Maria, or Gia. Hit me with x squared. Negative is positive. 3.5 divided by 0.7 is 5. Positive and negative is a negative. And 9.8 divided by 0.7, 14. Okay, mindlessly write this down. If the sign in between the last two terms is a negative, your signs in your parentheses are plus minus. Okay? Looking at the factors of 14. Since 5 is positive, the big number is going to be positive because you have a plus and minus. So 14 minus 1, or 7 minus 2 will give me 5. So obviously 7 minus 2. 7 is positive. The 2 is negative. Oops, sorry.
Maria, you want to play fetch again? Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be hard to write this, sorry.
Let me do it. I need to tell you.
And there's that. Factoring trinomials.